So every 10 years after you fill out your census form and the Census Bureau tells us how many Americans live in this country, states are required to redraw or redistrict U.S. congressional and state legislative lines. And New York will drop to 26 seats in the House of Representatives starting in 2022 after losing one in 2020. Redistricting could give Democrats the opportunity to hold on to their majority, but the party's been previously opposed to political gerrymandering and has criticized Republicans for using the practice. For more, I want to bring in Colby Itkowitz. She's a national political reporter for The Washington Post, my former colleague and desk mate. Colby, it's good to see you. And I know you're now... Great to see you. Thanks for being with us. As it is with most things across the country, all 50 states don't handle this arcane but important process quite the same. So give us the big picture. How many are redrawing their congressional lines right now, and how might that contribute to shifting the balance of power in Congress?
Yeah, so this is happening all across the country, as you said, and every state does it a little bit differently. In some states, there's the partisans in the state legislature that do it. In some states, there's an independent commission that have nothing to do with politics, or so they say. And then they have advisory commissions, which is what you have in New York, and I know we're going to get to that later. The stakes could not be higher in this redistricting because the House Democrats hold the majority by such a slim, razor-thin majority, and any number of seats, 5 to 8 seats, flipping to the Republicans could lose Nancy Pelosi the gavel.
So New York is, you write, is an important state to track in this regard. Big state that's losing some of its congressional power and completely controlled by Democrats. So why is that so significant in all of this?
So it's the first time in 100 years that New York has had, the Democrats have had full control over this process. They have the state assembly, the state senate, and they have the governor. And so there's a temptation to use that power to draw lines that would really advantage the Democrats and try to blunt what is perceived to be a massive Republican advantage all over the country. Republicans control most state governments. They have gerrymandered very large states in the past, like Texas and Georgia and Ohio, Pennsylvania and North Carolina, which later got overturned by a lawsuit, but not before those maps were in place for several congressional election cycles. And so even if a map is challenged in court, sometimes it can take years for that to be litigated. And so what gets passed this year is likely to be the map that's run on in 2022.
It's an incredibly confusing process. And I imagine a bunch of the sort of good government advocates that you talk to across the country and in New York State, in this case, are got to be a little fed up with how this whole process is working. And you've got parties trying to put their thumbs on the scale in various states for their own political benefit.
Yeah, and we just saw that happen in Oregon, actually, the only Democratic-controlled state that is gaining a seat in Congress next year. And there was a flipped script where Republicans were crying gerrymandering and threatening to sue and calling for independent commissions to draw the lines, while the Democrats had drawn a map that was going to be 5 Democratic safe seats and 1 Republican safe seat, which the Republicans said was an extreme gerrymander. Of course, that's a much smaller state than what we've seen Republicans do it in when they've gained dozens and dozens of seats through this process. But to your point, good government groups are incredibly frustrated. They wanted the federal voting rights package to pass, which has a provision that would ban partisan gerrymandering and move redistricting to independent commissions, truly independent commissions, which is not what something like New York has. New York has something called an advisory commission. And so that advisory commission puts out its first draft, it takes the first stab at it. But if the legislature doesn't like it, they can just toss it aside and do it themselves.
And beyond New York, beyond Oregon that you mentioned, what other states are worth watching right now in terms of how they're doing it and where you may see political games played?
Well, you've got Texas and North Carolina and Florida that all gain seats in Congress and are all controlled by Republicans. Now, what's interesting is that a lot of that population growth is happening in and around cities, and it's largely non-white residents moving to those states. Texas is a great example where 2 million out of the 4 million new residents in Texas over the last decade are Latino. So what they argue in Texas is that if it's the Latino population that is getting you 2 new seats, then shouldn't the Latino population be the ones that have the representation in Congress? Texas Republicans put out a draft map just yesterday that did not create any new Latino majority seats in Texas. And Latino groups are very angry that they, in fact, did something that's called cracking and packing, which is where you pack a lot of communities of color together, or you dilute their vote by cracking up their communities and putting them into more conservative districts. In both instances, it dilutes the voice of communities of color.
And I suspect that'll be a big part of the debate in various states as this continues. Lots of terminology there, all of it important because it affects how you're represented in Congress, who represents you, something that folks should be keeping an eye on as it continues state by state. Colby Itkowitz of the Washington Post. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for taking some time.
You too. Thanks, Ed.